Donald Trump on Monday introduced his running mate in the 2024 election, U.S. Senator J.D. Vance. Trump first revealed the choice on his Truth Social media website.
The motion is adopted.
At the start of the four-day Republican National Convention in Milwaukee to nominate the party's presidential ticket. Vance, who is 39 years old, is a former Trump critic turned staunch loyalist who enjoyed a rapid rise in American politics after winning acclaim for his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. Vance himself was harshly critical of Trump before and after Trump's 2016 election win against Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, calling him an idiot and America's Hitler, among other epithets. But as Vance geared up to run for the U.S. Senate seat in Ohio in 2022, he transformed into one of the former president's most consistent defenders. That about-face appeared to win him Trump's endorsement.
Thanks to the president for everything, for endorsing me, and I gotta say...
And the Republican would go on to defend Trump's positions. He has downplayed the severity of the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol by a violent mob of Trump supporters trying to block lawmakers from certifying the results of the 2020 election.
They asked me, they said, well, wasn't January 6th the constitutional crisis? And I shook my head and I said, no. January the 6th, Donald Trump trying to challenge an election through constitutional means, that is the opposite of a constitutional crisis.
On the campaign trail, the former venture capitalist has also served as a bridge between Trump associates and wealthy Silicon Valley donors, many of whom have opened their wallets to Trump this election. Still, Vance's selection has its detractors among Trump associates, notably those who wanted Trump to select a diverse vice presidential candidate. Though Trump and Biden are virtually tied in most national polls, Trump trails the Democratic president by significant margins among women and Black Americans. Some Trump associates privately questioned whether it would be wise to take Vance out of the Senate with Democrats and Republicans vying for control of the upper chamber. Democrats hold a one-seat advantage, though they are likely to lose ground in the November election.
Joe Biden may lose key union support ahead of the U.S. presidential race as leaders of the 1.3 million-member Teamsters Union consider backing no candidate at all. Sources say a final decision on the matter is expected to come in the next few weeks. The union previously backed Biden in 2020, and working-class groups in closely contested states such as Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada helped power his election victory that year. But people familiar with the union's deliberations point to months of deteriorating relations with Biden's team, and some Teamsters leaders' concerns about Biden's political endurance. Teamsters President Sean O'Brien also made an appearance at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee on Monday night, and gave praise to Biden's opponent, Republican candidate Donald Trump.
But one thing is clear. President Trump is a candidate who is not afraid of hearing from new, loud, and often critical voices. And I think we all can agree, whether people like him or they don't like him, in light of what happened to him on Saturday, he has proven to be one tough SOB.
Still, sources say it's unlikely the Teamsters will endorse Trump either, due to deep divisions in the union. It would be the first time since 1996 that the Teamsters considered backing no candidate at all. The group's frustrations with Biden have grown in recent months. O'Brien was denied an Oval Office meeting to discuss a key priority, rescuing trucking giant Yellowcore and its 30,000 union jobs from bankruptcy. A person familiar with the discussions say frustrations were compounded after calls from Democratic lawmakers and donors for Biden to drop his re-election bid following the presidential debate last month.
The criminal case accusing Donald Trump of illegally holding on to classified documents was dismissed Monday. Judge Aileen Cannon of Florida, who was appointed to the bench by Trump, ruled that Special Counsel Jack Smith, who was leading the prosecution, was unlawfully appointed.
Today, an indictment was unsealed.
In June of last year, Smith announced charges against Trump, saying that he willfully retained sensitive national security documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate after leaving office in 2021 and obstructed government efforts to retrieve the material. But Cannon found that U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland did not have the authority to appoint Smith to the role of special counsel, and that Smith did not have the authority to bring the case. Prosecutors are likely to appeal the ruling, and courts in other cases have upheld the ability of the Justice Department to appoint special counsels to handle certain politically sensitive investigations. Still, the dismissal marks another major legal victory for Trump. who's set to be formally named the Republican presidential nominee in Milwaukee this week. Earlier this month, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Trump enjoyed immunity from prosecution from many of his actions in office. That ruling involved charges pursued by Smith in a separate case against Trump involving his efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss. Trump, who also just survived an assassination attempt, said in a social media post that Monday's ruling should be just the first step, and called for the dismissal of all 4 criminal cases against him.
Elon Musk plans to commit around $45 million per month to a political action committee that supports Donald Trump. That was according to reports by the Wall Street Journal on Monday. It says he had planned to start donations to the so-called America PAC in July. However, a Monday filing by the group showed no sign of any such donation yet. The PAC says it has raised more than $8 million so far. Prominent donors include the billionaire Winklevoss twins. On Saturday, Musk publicly endorsed Donald Trump for the presidency, hours after the Republican was shot in the ear at a rally. Trump's choice for vice president doesn't look like a natural fit with the Tesla founder, however. J.D. Vance last year introduced legislation to eliminate tax subsidies for electric vehicles. He wants to replace them with tax credits for US-made gasoline or diesel-powered vehicles. That would gut a key plank of the Biden administration's clean energy strategy. Tesla shares fell after the announcement of Vance as Trump's running mate.
Donald Trump drew cheers during the first night of the Republican National Convention on Monday, 2 days after a would-be assassin grazed his right ear with a bullet. Trump entered the Milwaukee venue with a bandaged ear as GOP delegates and faithful stood with a roaring ovation. Many chanted "fight, fight, fight" and pumped their fists, referencing Trump's reaction in the moments after he was wounded on Saturday at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. The former president mouthed the words "thank you" to the crowd before shaking hands with his freshly picked running mate, U.S. Senator J.D. Vance, next to him.
Our nominee for the 47th President of the United States.
Trump is due to formally accept the party's nomination in a primetime speech on Thursday to face Democratic President Joe Biden in the November 5th election, while Vance is scheduled to address the convention on Wednesday.
For the office of Vice President of the United States, Senator J.D. Vance.
The 39-year-old was a fierce Trump critic in 2016, but he has since become one of the former president's staunchest defenders, embracing Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was marred by widespread fraud. The Ohio senator is deeply popular with Trump's core supporters, but analysts have questioned whether he can broaden the ticket's appeal. He shares Trump's aggressive approach to politics, and his conservative statements on issues such as abortion could turn off moderate voters. The 4-day convention began less than 48 hours after a gunman opened fire at the outdoor rally, killing one supporter. The 20-year-old suspect was a registered Republican. He was shot dead at the scene, and his motive remains unclear.
Nigeria's north-central Plateau State, the families of those killed in a school building collapse on Friday prepare to bury their loved ones. At least 22 people were killed, among them 12-year-old Emmanuel Dennis. Here's his father, Victor.
I went there, I see the house collapse.
I went to see the collapsed 2-story building. I saw the building. People were helping to rescue the students. My 2 girls, one jumped out and the rescue team rescued the other one. My boy was down. It took some time before they brought him out from the rubble. He had an injury to his head. I saw his dead body in the mortuary.
At least 154 people were trapped under the debris when the All Saints Academy in the Busa-Buji community of the state capital, Jos, gave way. Survivor Esther David recounts the moment the building collapsed.
When our teacher left, we were just relaxing, so a student came to call us to go for another class. Before we could leave the class, it collapsed on us.
Plateau State Governor Caleb Muftwang, who has visited victims in the nearby Bingham University Teaching Hospital, has called for a thorough review of building standards across the state's schools.
We have to go back and begin to look at how many of those schools, including even public schools, we're not going to spare anyone. We're going to go back. Contractors that were given contracts by government to build public schools, If we also find that those buildings were not well built, we will take appropriate action.
Building collapses are frequent in Africa's most populous country due to lax safety regulations and often substandard construction materials.
Gambia's parliament on Monday rejected a bill that would have ended a ban on female genital mutilation, Parliament Speaker said. The bill had sparked a public debate around the practice in the Muslim-majority country. The lawmaker who took the proposal to Parliament, Almane Jibba, said he was upholding religion, culture and tradition. But many Islamic scholars dispute his arguments. The World Health Organization says FGM has no health benefits and can lead to excessive bleeding, shock, psychological problems, and even death. And anti-FGM campaigners say the 2015 law banning the practice in Gambia has been poorly enforced, which the government denies. The bill had passed a second reading in March with only 5 out of 53 lawmakers voting against it. That had raised concerns among rights advocates that Gambia would become the first country in the world to reverse a ban on FGM. But after holding weeks of public hearings, Parliament's Health and Gender Affairs Committees presented a joint report on July 8th, recommending that Gambia maintain the ban. A majority of lawmakers adopted that report. Political analysts said they may have been swayed by testimonies from doctors and survivors about FGM's harmful consequences. Parliament voted again on Monday ahead of a third and final reading scheduled for later this month. Around 30 lawmakers voted against each clause, prompting the Speaker, Fabakary Tombong Jatta, to stop the bill moving forward to the final reading. Jatta said it was a futile exercise to allow the bill to proceed.
The FBI says it has gained access to the phone of Thomas Matthew Crooks, the suspect in the shooting of Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania campaign rally. The statement came Monday as the Bureau continues to investigate the 20-year-old's motive for the crime. The former president's right ear was grazed by a bullet, and one supporter was killed before a Secret Service agent shot Crooks dead on Saturday. FBI agents on Monday were seen entering Crooks' home in Bethel Park, south of Pittsburgh. Public records showed Crooks was a registered Republican and that he also donated $15 to a Democratic political action committee when he was 17. At the time of the shooting, he was employed as a dietary aide at a nursing home. Neighbors Reuters spoke to on Monday described Crooks as a pretty nice kid who kept to himself.
I've never had a conversation with him, no. But no, he seemed like a really pretty nice kid, honestly. But no, I never. And he was friendly enough, smile, wave, you know.
He looked familiar, but I never really saw him around, ever. He just seemed to stand away.
The FBI stressed that its investigation is still in its early stages. The rifle used by the shooter was legally purchased by his father. Officials said there was no indication that Crooks suffered from any mental health issues. The shooting is being treated as both an assassination attempt and potential domestic terrorism.